Wright, and I have the pleasure here today to be with the Superintendent of Gull Lake Community Schools, Mr. Rundle. Thank you very much, Mr. Rundle, for being with us today. So I only have a few questions, so let's get started.
Well, thank you for asking me, Sophie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Our first question is, can you tell us about the history of the wall that heals?
I can. A little bit about it. It began on Veterans Day, 1996. It was commissioned and put into the visits throughout the country. It's been to more than 300 cities since its beginning, and we're fortunate enough to have the wall visit us November 1st through November 4th here. So coming up pretty soon, it will be here visiting Gull Lake.
All right, that's great. And secondly, where did the idea come from for the exhibition to visit Gull Lake Community Schools?
Great question, and it's really a community endeavor. The Gull Lake Schools Community Foundation, which supports many of the activities that take place here for our schools in general, are heading up this effort. So it's a partnership between the foundation, the schools, the community. I think over 400 volunteers will be needed to help over the 4 days. So really, the foundation in putting this together, Mrs. Engel and Mrs. Baldwin in particular have been doing a lot of work in making this happen. So really, partnership between the foundation, the schools, and the community.
All right, very great. And how many soldiers fought? Many of the soldiers that fought in the Vietnam War were of a young age, similar to those of our high school students. So how do you think this makes our student population feel?
I think it will be a very enlightening experience and a nice way to honor those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for this country and our freedom in all wars.
Yeah.
But the Vietnam War would have been my time also, and just to give an example, the wall that's coming, there are members of the armed services on the wall that currently there's no story about the individual or a picture, and this is a traveling wall and museum. And I just found out I have a cousin that is on that wall, and I brought a picture of him. This is Johnny Hasford, and he is one of the people that the museum does not have a record of. They don't have a picture, they don't have his story. And so this is a newspaper clipping from 1967. Wow. And my cousin was killed when he was 21 years old. And this is the story for his hometown of Williamston, Michigan. And I have a large picture of him that I'll be bringing and giving a copy of that to the museum. So they'll have his story and his picture to join the others that were on there. So I hope other people who may have a relative and maybe that relative has not been properly memorialized at the museum can do something similar as I will be doing. And I have stood at the wall and at his name, and it's an intensely emotional experience. If you haven't done that before to somebody that you knew or were related to. So I think it will be a wonderful experience for the school and the community, and a nice way to honor those that have served.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's actually a great example leading into my next question. My next question is, how many students in the Gull Lake schools do you think has an affiliation with someone that has been affected by the Vietnam War?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know a number, Sophie, but I would think that it's going to be more than a person might just think. I think parents and grandparents of our current students, many, would have been affected somehow by that war and those that served.
Yeah, and I was talking to my mom about it, and she also kind of came into conversation that one of her neighbor's dad died in the Vietnam War. So I think also just from friends and family, you kind of got a picture of how many people have been affected just in our community too.
Yeah.
And then, what effects do you think the Wall That Heals will have on the Gull Lake community?
I think it will be a great experience, for the community in general.
Yeah.
But in particular, maybe those that, maybe as myself, that it's been a while since you've seen the wall or thought about the meaning of the names, on that wall. Yeah. And I think the visual experience for people of your generation will be meaningful, to see that laid out and think of the people and this and the gift really to the country that they've given. I think it will be very moving, and meaningful to people of all generations.
Yeah, I agree. And then how do you think that having the Wall That Heals here will affect other communities around us?
Well, this is really a community event, and I'm glad you asked that question, because it's not just Richland or Gull Lake. It's Kalamazoo County and the surrounding counties that are close to us. And as a matter of fact, there's over I think 1,200 other students that are coming to visit on Thursday and Friday from other schools. Yeah. And so the invitation has been made, to everyone around us to participate in this event, and our offer was accepted. So there'll be, I think, a lot of interest. TV3 will be here. I think it'll be the first time in the history of the travels of this wall that it will be simulcast. The opening ceremony will be available on the web. Yeah. And they tell us in Washington that they're real excited about that because it's never happened before.
Oh, wow,
so,
that's great.
So that's a scoop for you guys to, we will be doing that.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great opportunity for other communities too. How long do we have the privilege of having the schools, the expedition at our schools, and also how can people visit? How is it possible for people to visit?
The exhibition will be here from November 1st, which is Thursday, through Sunday, November the 4th at 4 o'clock. The opening ceremony will begin at 10 o'clock, and there's going to be a flyover. Apparently we either have jets or helicopters from Selfridge Air National Guard Base, which is way over on the other side of the state, will be coming over. There's Kalamazoo bagpipes here, our band and choir. Our own Armstrong girls will be singing the national anthem. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Gull Lake High School Student Council. We have an invocation by a Vietnam veteran pastor that is a member of this community. And then Colonel Walker and Major Flynn will be taking care of introductions of the many dignitaries that will be here, and some stories about why we're doing this. The mayor of both Battle Creek and Kalamazoo will be here to speak to the group. Several musical arrangements by our band, and that's a good band, by the way, yeah. So we're looking forward to that. Keynote speaker is a Vietnam veteran, Sergeant Floyd Carmichael, will give the keynote speech. There will be laying of the wreaths, Vietnam Veterans of America, the Purple Heart veterans, Gold Star moms. More music by our high school and choir, and then the closing of that ceremony will be the military honors, playing the taps by our high school band, and echo taps, I believe, which is always something to hear. And then Major Flynn will make closing remarks. Then the closing ceremony at 4 o'clock will conclude. It is open throughout the day. It will be staffed continually. And there will be stations at the exhibit where you can see a part of the museum. You can, make, as I was talking about my cousin, make those adjustments there. There'll be a table area for that. There's places for classes to come in, like the Hometown Heroes, or be things that classes can do to learn a little bit about what went on during that time, and of course, a tour of the wall itself, or in many instances the location of a family member or loved one that whose name might reside on that wall. So lot planned. It's going to be fun. Saturday night, there's a free dinner here at the high school for all veterans that they just need to contact and get a ticket, and they come and they have a free meal here at the high school. That should be a nice time too.
Yeah, nice touch. And now as our questions come to the end, I kind of leave you the floor to say anything else that you'd like to include in this segment.
Well, we're honored that they chose to visit us, and I'm very grateful that the foundation has done such a good job of putting this together. It's going to speak well for the school and the community, and we're excited that we were chosen and allowed to host this great event. And you guys will be part of it too.
Yeah, that's great.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Rundle, for your time. And thank you for watching my interview with Mr. Rundle.